Donald Trump violated the Canada-US-Mexico Free Trade Agreement that he himself signed. Trump could have exempted food imports if he actually meant his promise of lowering grocery prices. But he didn't do that. A 10% tariff on imports from China, a 25% tariff on imports from Mexico, and a 25% tariff on imports from Canada. But only 10% on energy. Because if it was a 25%, it would have been massive increases, expected to be an immediate 70-cent plus increase per gallon of gas. Interesting that Trump had to do that with the energy tariffs, though, because he has kept claiming that Americans won't be paying for these tariffs, almost like that was a lie. Now, the consequences are coming into focus, and Trump's threats of increasing tariffs even more if another nation dares to do their own retaliatory tariffs is simply not working. This is not only going to cost more at the store, but it's going to cost vast amounts. Tons of American jobs are going to be ended. And places like Florida is about to have a lot less visitation. Because it turns out, if your country angers another, they are less likely to come visit. They are less likely to buy your goods with or without the tariff. At a hockey game tonight, the national anthem of America was booed. Mexico has announced they are working on both tariff and non-tariff actions. And as for Canada, I'm going to let you listen to what he has to say about the tariffs. And before this, he talks about how Canada has stood by America in World War II, to Katrina, to 9/11, and so many things. And then he gets to the response. And hopefully it's loud enough. I've had to boost this quite a bit.
Bringing us together. Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the U.S. trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives. Ce soir, j'annonce la...
So, $155 billion worth of tariffs. And he's smart enough to delay most of it a few days to give Canadian companies a chance to find alternatives. Something American companies aren't getting. Yeah, they aren't getting that because Trump's putting his in effect on Tuesday. Now, there's also been talk online that Canada may be specifically going to target goods coming from red states, because that would make sense if you're trying to force Trump's hand. You target the people that he's going to care about. On top of that, there is talk of simply not allowing new deals or limiting contracts with American companies in general. This is not going to end at tariffs. This is going to increase. And what's wild about this is none of it had to happen. Donald Trump talks about illegal immigration and fentanyl. Both of those, less than 1% coming into America, for each of them, comes from Canada. And Canada even went ahead and said they were going to increase border security even more. Because that's not what this is actually about. Donald Trump has said what this is about. He seems to think that he can use economic warfare to try to make Canada the 51st state. In reality or in practice, make them become subservient to him. He has been very expansionist minded, I assume, to try to leave a legacy. We've had Republicans try to talk of changing it so he can have a third term, putting him on Mount Rushmore. He wants to take over Greenland. He wants to possibly invade Panama. We have Trump today bombing Somalia. The anti-war president bombing Somalia. And you might be saying, well, he's targeting ISIS leaders. Donald Trump, didn't he declare victory on ISIS? Oh yeah, that was another lie that he told the American people. I've watched today, waiting for this press conference actually, an extensive amount of Canadian media. And I've followed a lot of Canadians on social media. And they're mad at the US. I don't think it's reciprocated. So it's going to probably shock Americans how badly this is going to affect our country. If you wanted lower grocery prices, if you wanted houses to be cheaper, if you wanted gas to be cheaper, if that is why you voted for Donald Trump, it's not happening, and he chose to make sure it doesn't happen. That's really all there is to say about it. This is just a whim of Donald Trump. This doesn't benefit America. America is getting nothing out of this. These tariffs do not get America anything. But you see, another thing that's been talked about is Trump's been talking about the era before income tax, back when we just had tariffs to pay for everything. That's something that means that taxation in the United States would be taking money from poor people at an even higher rate. Because that's how that type of tax system works. It would increase prices. You would have less money unless you're as rich as Trump. It's not about fentanyl. It's not about immigration. His immigration actions in the US are going to raise your grocery prices. His actions internationally with these tariffs are not just going to raise your grocery prices, it's going to raise the prices of furniture, of course, your groceries. It's going to raise the prices of shirts. It's going to raise the prices of steel, aluminum, everything you need. There are going to be jobs simply disappear. Are you in a town where auto manufacturing is big? Well, these parts go back and forth across the border. Have done it for a long time. That's all going to be tariffed every time it passes. The auto industry is going to possibly very quickly come to a crawl or essentially stop. But if you already have a car, you're not affected, except you need parts that do the same thing. It's dumb. It's no positive for America. But here we are. Everyone's stuck with it. So make sure you check. Next week, week after, 21 days are when Canada's wanting to have all of its tariffs put in place. A month from now. Did your gas go down? Did the eggs go down? Everything cheaper? No, it won't. But I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the store as soon as I can. I'm probably going to go ahead and buy that hard drive. I was going to put off a little bit. Probably not going to do that now. And maybe get myself a big jug of Canadian maple syrup, because I do like that. I don't use it often, but I don't like the artificially flavored syrup. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And you might say, well, just buy the Vermont maple syrup or American made. Yeah, the issue with that, if you didn't know, is that if Canadian maple syrup goes up in price, the US companies are going to have more demand and raise their prices. Because just like with COVID, just because prices are going to raise because of scarcity doesn't mean it's only raising due to that. Companies love to put a little extra oomph in their profit right around there. So that means even if this all gets back down and goes away after 2, 3, 4, 6 months, and then the trade goes back to normal, prices probably won't. Because the corporations will have bigger profits that way.